Legendary producer Norman Lear has passed away at the age of 101. He was revered by so many people in Hollywood and has been given the credit for creating some of the best TV shows in the industry. Even famous for black TV shows such as Sanford and Son, The Jeffersons, 227, and Good Times. But there's an untold truth about a few of those particular shows. Norman Lear did not create them. Meet Eric Monte, Chicago native and writer who is directly responsible for Good Times, The Jeffersons, What's Happening, and the black film classic Cooley High, and indirectly responsible for shows like Sanford and Son and The Cosby Show. More on that later. Eric Monte first pitched The Jeffersons to Norman Lear in 1971, which then Norman Lear turned down by saying, in quote, "America will never buy a black man calling a white man honky on television," end quote. So Monte pitched what would become Good Times. He received a lot of pushback from Lear and other producers about showing a strong black man on TV at the head of a family. They agreed to do the show and introduced Esther Rolle's character of Florida Evans on their TV hit sitcom Maude, starring B. Arthur. Her character was so well received that Good Times was greenlit, and Monte was hired as a staff writer. He would also get a co-creator credit for the show, along with Mike Evans. Monte recalls many conflicts in the writer's room of Good Times because every writer in the room other than himself was white, and they had no idea of the black experience, especially in the projects, aka the ghetto. Monte said all of the writing was stereotypical and sometimes even racist. After a year of pushback from the cast about the direction of the characters, Monte was demoted for siding with the cast against the white writers and producers of the show. By season 2, Monte would receive great news that his script for a feature film called Cooley High was being produced. And due to the endless conflict that he had to endure, he decided to quit Good Times. Unfortunately, after Monte's departure, Lear and the producers decided to kill off John Amos's character James Evans, the patriarch of the Evans family, fulfilling their original vision of not having a strong black man leading his family on television. According to multiple interviews with John Amos, they labeled him difficult, and he was fired. The ratings plummeted. Soon after that, the leading star, Esther Rolle, left Good Times because she saw the changes to the character of JJ, displaying him as an ignorant, smiling, struggling artist. The show was eventually canceled after 6 seasons. Cooley High, which was semi-autobiographical of Monte's life, was a huge success, earning over $13 million in the box office only on a $750,000 budget, one of the top highest grossing films in 1975. It's labeled by some the greatest black film of all time and was selected to be added into the National Film Registry in 2021. Although coming off of a huge hit in Hollywood, Monte would face much adversity in the coming years. Monte was contacted by ABC to produce a series based on Cooley High. It would be called What's Happening. If this is news to you, you could see the resemblance between the two characters of Preach from Cooley High and Roger from What's Happening, as well as both characters' resemblance to Monte himself. In the meantime, other shows that Monte had pitched to Lear, such as The Jeffersons, was then greenlit and produced without any credit given to Monte. Monte also pitched the idea to Lear about using black comedian Red Fox and an all-black cast for the producer's remake of the British TV show around a junk dealer, which would later become Sanford and Son. Lear wanted an all-white cast, such as the British show had, But after Eric pitched Red Fox and his idea, Lear decided to go with it and produce the show, once again giving no credit to Monty. The Jeffersons ran for 11 seasons and is considered the most successful African American sitcom in history, which then paved the way for shows like The Cosby Show, which also depicts an upper middle class family. Monty agreed to do What's Happening under strict conditions of it being produced under his production company. ABC agreed, but when the producers that they assigned, along with the lawyers and Monty's own agent, they drew up the paperwork, it was designed to undermine Monty. And somehow, Norman Lear and his partners were able to get their hands into that pot as well. Eric Monte finds himself at the bottom of the food chain, and then he had to take action. Monty filed a lawsuit against Norman Lear and his company and ABC to be paid fairly for the characters and shows that he had created and written. Lear offered a settlement to Monty of $1 million and 1% of the net profits from Good Times. Monty initially turned that offer down, but then was threatened by his own lawyers to take the deal or they would walk away, dismiss themselves from this case. And with the statute of limitations on the rights just days away, Monty felt he had no other choice but to take that settlement. However, the decision came with another price. Norman Lear then blacklisted Eric Monte in Hollywood. For years, he could not get any meetings with any producers, production companies, or showrunners. Not even the black producers in Hollywood would touch Eric Monte, other than the Wayans family. He was eventually able to write an episode or two for the Wayans brothers show. Also Moesha and a couple of other shows. So in desperation, he decided to produce his own play that he wrote for Broadway. And he spent most of his money on the $700,000 budget. Monty had gone from successful Hollywood writer to broke, struggling, homeless playwright in a short period of time. He then became depressed and turned to drugs, most namely crack cocaine, to ease his woes. Since then, Eric Monte has been able to overcome his drug addiction, but he still remains unsuccessful in his attempts to regain glory in the film and television industry. If there was any time for black people to come together and form a GoFundMe or collect funds to give, it would be now. This would be the time. And I would contribute to it. I'd be right there for it. Full interview of Eric Monte can be found at the Real Black 2 channel on YouTube. I'll put the link in the description. Let's remember to give this black king his flowers now while you can still smell them, and thank him for his contribution to our television and film culture.